Hey, what's up guys, John here. Soon millions of migrants will live with American families inside of private residences.
Colin and Jessica Stokes called the state to sign up to be a host family. It took less than an hour for the displaced migrants to be dropped off at their door.
I gotta get sheets on the bed. How many people are coming?
You can hear this come directly from the mayors of New York City, of Boston, of Chicago.
The city could pay people to house migrants in their apartments.
If you have an extra room, please consider hosting a family.
A lot of mayors are coming out with this plan right now to compensate American families to take in migrants. Now, when you look at the state of the U.S. economy, what you're starting to see here is sky-high inflation.
Inflation in the U.S. surged again last month.
Inflation soaring to its highest level in nearly 40 years.
High property taxes, high insurance, and a stressed out consumer. So when you add up all these problems, people are going to be seeking relief. And on the other side of that relief is going to be a migrant family. Now I'm going to show you exactly what's going on here to connect the dots to show you exactly what's coming next. When you look at these numbers, you start to see exactly what's going on here. You're going to have a completely different picture of the future of America in 2024 and 2025. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate the people about what's going on in America's economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow, for Monday. Take a look at this. So how many migrants came in 2023? The answer, 2.5 million. How about in 2022? Answer, 2.2 million. In 2021, the number's 1.5 million. So if you add up all these together, 6.2 million is the total. Now, according to migrantpolicy.org, the answer is 6.3 million. So between 6.2 and 6.3 million are the numbers. So to put that into context, if you added up Rhode Island, Hawaii, Wyoming, Alaska, South Dakota, and Delaware, you come up with 5,690,000. So you'd still be short roughly 500,000. You could almost add in Vermont to add in these 7 states, and that would show you just the amount of migrants that have come in over the last 36 months, right? So you're seeing the trend here. What's shocking is that they said that the U.S. housing market is short 6.5 million homes, when we just brought in 6.3 million new people. So you start to add this up, you have to ask yourself, well, what's going to happen next? How are they going to combat this housing shortage? Well, here's what's happening. So this video got 4.3 million views, showing some of the migrants that are coming in. It says that governments in Africa are emptying them, right, and shipping them to Central America with instructions on how to cross. Now, I'm not sure if this is true. This is what they're saying, right? And I'll show you this. Now, I don't see any women and children. I've seen a lot of these videos where it's very, very little women and children. It's more just, males between the ages of 20 and 40, it looks like. Now, you start to look at this, you're like, okay, well, let's see what the mayors are saying. What is the proposed plan? Maybe just some of these videos or, a little extreme that they put out. Maybe there's, a lot of other videos that completely, challenge this, and it's just a lot of women and children. But look at this.
Boston City Councilwoman Julia Mejia thinks more migrants can be placed outside of Boston.
I think everybody needs to start opening up their doors because this is a shared responsibility.
Shared responsibility, 175,000 views. Then you look at what Mayor Adams said. Mayor Adams. Let's see here.
Locales, and then move to private residents. There are residents who are suffering right.
I'm just going to fast
we
forward
have to spend, and we can put it back in the pockets of everyday New Yorkers.
So they're going to be using the funds to basically compensate families to take in migrants. And so this is what the plan looks like. So he did say, however, that the city would pay places of worship a nightly rate of $125 for each asylum seeker, which is cheaper than the $380 it costs to put up a migrant household, including family with kids or just single adults, in one of its shelter hotels. If the private residence plan went ahead, it could mean New Yorkers are being paid more to host a migrant than a foster parent is given to raise a child in the Empire State. The state currently pays a daily allowance of $40 for children aged over 12, according to the Office of Children and Family Services. So it's not even close. It's not even close. Now, when you're looking at this, and then you start to see, Chicago, for example, wealthy Chicago suburb proposes allowing residents to sign up to house migrants. We're going to start to see a lot of people that would say, you know what, I would never do that, or I'm not interested in that. And then, boom, the economy starts to soften more, job losses start to pick up more, food costs continue to skyrocket. They see that empty bedroom in their house saying, you know what, if I can fill this empty bedroom, then I'll be able to solve my problems. But the real issue becomes, in a lot of these markets, in Chicago, in Boston, in New York City, the landlord-tenant laws are very one-way. So it's very pro-tenant. And when you have a situation where you're getting paid by the local government to house people, and then, for example, there's an issue inside of that property, and you want to evict that tenant, the odds of that being a very seamless and easy thing might not be in the favor of the landlord, right? So when you start to look at this situation and kind of add all this stuff up, you can see one thing and one thing very, very clearly. That migrants cost, right here, New York Times, right, help push New York State's budget to $233 billion. The big question becomes, how does New York City fund that? How do any of these cities fund that? California, for example, is sitting on a $68 billion deficit. And California is making their contribution towards this as well. Governor Kathy Hochul on Tuesday unveiled a $233 billion budget for New York State that includes $2.4 billion to help New York City manage its migrant crisis, a $500 million increase reflecting the mounting cost as it continued to arrive. The budget proposal sought to thread the needle between necessity to exert financial discipline as projected multi-billion-dollar deficits loom and the pressing need posed by migrant situation, as well as substantial increase in Medicaid costs. Now, when you look at a city like Los Angeles and New York City and a lot of these big cities, what did you see over the last couple of years? Sky-high vacancy rate in office buildings. Now, how does this relate to migrant crisis? Well, a lot of these cities get direct funding due to the tax revenue on these large office buildings. And when they have sky-high vacancy rates, where it went from, in 2017, 2018, only 5% or 4% of the building would be vacant, to now it's over 20%, sometimes even closer to 30%, and then you have insurance and taxes skyrocketing, the value of these buildings continues to fall. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these properties that were before selling for 50, 100 million, now selling for 10 million, 20 million. What does that mean? It means the tax base is going to fall in accordance with that new value. So there's going to be a huge deficit and a very, very small pool of cash that's going to be able to be collected compared to what happened just a few years ago, yet our expenses are going to continue to rise and the demand for social services will continue to grow. So how do these cities function? It's going to be more taxes and probably more financial injections from federal government, right? So the government's going to have to come forward and spend a lot of money to be able to offset a lot of these costs. Well, when you look at this, thousands of migrants in New York City quietly collecting welfare through Hochul's rule, right? This came out 2 days ago. And so inside of this rule, it says that soon the migrants there's right now 173,000 coming to the Big Apple since 2022. So inside of, call it 18 months, 173,000, right? If only 10% of the migrants are eligible for SNA payments, the number of recipients could exceed 17,000 in New York City alone. More than 66,000 migrants currently remain in the city's care. Now, according to some interesting data, they're going to be a part of this new pilot program with $53 million, which is going to allow migrants to receive more social services than Americans veterans, and even more people on SNAP benefits, welfare programs. So you start to look at all of this big change coming to how are migrants going to be housed, how they're going to be compensated, how they're going to be able to survive. You start looking at all of this and you can see one thing very, very, very clearly, that the demand for income from Americans is going to skyrocket. And they are going to start taking people in. They're going to definitely do this in droves. I would almost guarantee it. And the reason for it is inflation is probably going to continue to get worse. And here's the trend. In 2023, in U.S. inflation, families are spending $709 per month, right? $700 per month is what they said here. Then just a year later, 6 months later, then it was $11,000 for the year, right? So it went from $709 to about $900 a month. And now it is, over $1,000 a month. $1,069 a month. So if inflation continues to get worse, what's going to happen? People are going to do what they have to do to make ends meet. And And this is going to be one of them. This is going to be one of them. One of the biggest changes coming to America is going to be the proposed solutions to this migrant crisis. I personally believe that we're going to see millions of more people come into the country over the next couple of years. And so I'm not taking a position, politically on that, because this isn't a political channel, but it's an economic channel. I talk about business and finance. Financially, how do we do it? How would this actually work financially? When most Americans, can barely feed themselves, yet we have millions of more people coming into the country, and we have, they say, a 6.5 million unit housing shortage, but we just brought 6.3 million people here. So huge changes, I believe, coming to America. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop below. I personally think we're going to see a lot of people forced to sell off assets, homes, cars, you name it, because the economy is going to continue to get worse, and taxes are likely going to continue to rise, and inflation is going to rise with it. Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow, for Monday. Catch you next video.